The true origin of Peggy the doll is unknown, but the world became aware of his existence in 2015. This year, a woman had been at a local garage sale in her area. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted an adorable looking doll with blonde hair, beaded blue eyes, and a small white dress. Feeling some type of pull towards the doll and feeling as if she would enjoy the presence of a new companion, she quickly bought the toy. In due time, she would start calling Peggy. As soon as Peggy entered her life and was placed inside her home, strange things began to happen. The woman began to have nightmares every single night, ones that were so bad she would wake up in a pool of her own sweat, unable to catch her breath. Night after night, these nightmares would continue. Roughly 3 weeks upon the purchase of the doll and the start of the nightmares, the woman dreaded inevitably falling asleep each night. She also came to a personal conclusion that something was very wrong with Peggy. Each night in her nightmares, she was being pursued by some entity, but for the longest time was unable to see. Slowly, the entity that pursued her, which at first was masked by darkness, began to reveal itself. It formed a figure, the figure of a doll, and over time, the doll began to become a hideous amalgamation between that of a doll and an old woman. After Peggy entered her life, she tried moving the doll to various spots within her home, but that didn't seem to work. She consulted two priests of two different churches, both of which whose blessings didn't seem to work. If anything, it made the circumstances so much worse. Peggy began to move around on her own and she began breaking multiple items within the home as well. She finally, out of desperation, moved Peggy into her shed, hoping that if the doll was being outside of her home, the torment would cease. This, however, failed and seemed to anger whatever entity was present. After much research, she found an email to someone who she believed would be equipped to help her and figure out what was happening. A renowned British paranormal investigator, a woman by the name Jean Harris, who ran the organization Haunted Dolls. After a brief correspondence, Harris agreed to accept Peggy the doll. She set aside a space for Peggy and attempted to establish a baseline to see if anything abnormal seemed to be coming from the doll. Placing her in a glass stand, and several of her colleagues began to set up night vision cameras, digital cameras, and motion detectors. After the very first night, they would discover nothing. Despite the lack of findings, the team's protocol would dictate that the next step would to be to bring in several mediums. November of 2015, approximately 6 weeks after Peggy arrived on the